Imagine this, a prophecy written nearly 900 years ago, now echoing in the halls of the Vatican. A list of popes, each described in just a few Latin words. And now, the final name, one that many believe matches Pope Leo XIV. Was this just a coincidence? Or are we watching a divine mystery unfold before our eyes? Stay with us until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover may change how you see the Catholic Church forever. This is not a theory, this is not fantasy. This is about history, prophecy, and a pope who may be the last. Let's begin by understanding who Saint Malachy was. He was an Irish archbishop who lived in the 12th century. According to legend, while on a trip to Rome, he had a vision from God. In this vision, he saw a line of popes, stretching from his time all the way to the end of the church. He quickly wrote down 112 short mottos, each describing a future pope. These phrases were short, sometimes mysterious, but always linked to key traits, symbols, or even the hometowns of the popes they described. For centuries, these writings stayed hidden. It wasn't until the 16th century that the list became known to the public. Since then, people have been studying the mottos and trying to match them to the popes in history. Some matches were very accurate, others were harder to prove. But what makes it all so shocking is this: the very last pope on the list is described in a very special way. Instead of just a motto, the final entry is a longer paragraph. It reads, "In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock in many tribulations. After that, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end." This is a strong and serious message. Unlike all the previous mottos, this one talks about suffering, destruction, and final judgment. Many believe that this means the last pope will see a time of great crisis in the church, and possibly the end of the church as we know it. So why do people now say that Pope Leo XIV might be Peter the Roman? Let's look at the details. First, Pope Leo XIV was not expected to become pope. His election shocked many. He came from a missionary background, not from powerful positions in the Vatican. But what surprised people even more was the deep spiritual authority he brought with him. He immediately called for humility, holiness, and unity in the church. He refused comfort, avoided luxury, and constantly spoke about God's justice and mercy. That already sounds like someone who would feed his flock in tribulations, but there's more. Even though he wasn't born in Rome, Leo XIV often calls himself a Roman at heart. He studied in Rome, served in Roman parishes, and was deeply shaped by the city's spiritual legacy. In several speeches, he referred to St. Peter, the first pope, and often said things like, "We must return to Peter," or "Peter is watching over his church." Some people saw this as a hidden clue. Peter the Roman is not a name, but a symbol. A pope who stands for Peter in the heart of Rome during a time of trial. And what about the many tribulations? Since Pope Leo XIV began his papacy, the Church has faced increasing challenges. Wars, scandals, a decline in faith in many parts of the world. The hunger in Gaza, the suffering of innocent children, the violence in many nations, he has addressed them all with a heavy heart and strong words. He doesn't hold back. He has said things that no pope before him dared to say. In one of his recent public messages, he even said, "Human dignity is under attack, and the world must open its eyes before it is too late." These are not normal words from a pope. These are the words of someone who feels a deep burden, someone who knows something greater is coming. Could this be the beginning of the final period described by Saint Malachy? Let's pause and go deeper into the prophecy. Saint Malachy described the previous pope with the Latin phrase Gloria Olivae, or the glory of the olive. Many believe this referred to a pope who would focus on peace, like the olive branch. That pope was Benedict XVI, who was known for his calm, scholarly approach and who surprisingly resigned something that hadn't happened in centuries. After that, we had Pope Francis and now Pope Leo XIV. But the Saint Malachy prophecy doesn't clearly mention Francis. Why? Some say Francis was the transition pope, guiding the church through a time of confusion. But the true fulfillment of the final line belongs to Leo XIV. His name may not be Peter, But his mission, his roots in Rome, and his warnings all line up perfectly with the prophecy. And then there's something else, something chilling. The final words of the prophecy say, "After that, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed." The city of 7 hills is widely understood to mean Rome. Could this mean a physical destruction? Or is it about the spiritual collapse of the church's power? Right now, we are seeing internal divisions in the church. Some cardinals argue. Publicly, some bishops disagree with the Pope. Faith is fading in many countries. Churches are closing. Families are walking away from prayer. Meanwhile, the Pope is begging the world to come back to the gospel. Is this what Saint Malachy meant by destruction? Pope Leo XIV's speeches often sound like final appeals. He keeps asking for peace, for conversion, for prayer. He talks about the Blessed Virgin Mary, especially under the title Queen of Peace. He constantly reminds people that time is short and grace is still possible, but only if we choose it now. It's not just what he says, it's how he says it, with fire, urgency, and clarity. And this has caught the attention of many theologians and historians. Some are now studying the prophecy again. They are comparing the words of Saint Malachy to the life and mission of Pope Leo XIV, and many are wondering, could this really be it? Some believers say, yes, this is the final Pope. Others are not so sure. But what no one can deny is this: Pope Leo XIV is unlike any other pope before him. He speaks like a prophet. He acts with deep courage. And he constantly warns us to prepare for suffering, but also for hope. Because remember, Saint Malachy's prophecy ends with judgment, yes, but it also talks about the shepherd feeding his people. That means even in the worst times, God will not abandon us. The Pope, as the shepherd, is still here to guide, protect, and lead. Pope Leo XIV may be the last on a list, but he is not just a number. He is a voice crying out in a troubled world, a voice calling us back to God, a voice warning us, not with fear but with love. So what do we do now? We listen, we pray, we return to the faith. Because whether this prophecy is being fulfilled fully or only in part, one thing is clear: the world is changing fast. And we need spiritual leaders who are honest, holy, and brave. Pope Leo XIV has shown himself to be all three. Let us take his words seriously. Let us open our hearts. Because this moment in church history is not ordinary. It may be a turning point. And if Saint Malachy's vision was true, then we are not just living in any time, we are living in a time of prophetic urgency. And that's why we should not look away. We must pay attention. Before you go, remember this: prophecies are not meant to scare us. They are meant to prepare us. And this prophecy, if it is truly about Pope Leo XIV, may be the last warning the world will ever hear before the dawn of something new. And this is where things get truly astonishing. When Saint Malachy described the final pope as Peter the Roman, many dismissed it. They said it was symbolic or simply a poetic touch. But now, with Pope Leo XIV, it seems the pieces are aligning in a way that's difficult to ignore. Leo XIV was born far from Rome, and yet, through divine providence, he has become not just Bishop of Rome in title, but a man fully consumed by Rome's legacy and mission. In nearly every address, he refers to the city not as a mere place of governance, but as the spiritual heart of the world. In his first papal homily, he said, "From Rome I will walk with the poor of the earth until the ends of the earth." That echoes the prophetic symbolism of Peter the Roman, the one who stays grounded in apostolic roots while guiding the Church through its final trials. What's more, Pope Leo XIV chose his name not randomly. The name Leo is historically tied to strength, reform, and resistance. Saint Leo the Great fought heresies and defended the faith against division. Pope Leo XIV seems to echo that role in the 21st century. He is not a pope of comfort, but of confrontation with the modern world's deepest wounds: conflict, hunger, corruption, and spiritual emptiness. And when we look at the Malachy prophecy again, it becomes clear. It wasn't meant to scare. It was meant to prepare. According to the prophecy, in the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will sit Peter the Roman, who will feed the sheep in many tribulations, and when these things are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. Let's unpack that